All that we are is the result of what we have thought. A spiritual exploration statement. All that we are is the result of what we have thought points to one of the most profound truths echoed across spiritual traditions, ancient philosophies, and modern consciousness teachings. The inner world shapes the outer world. This quote, often attributed to the Buddha, is not merely a motivational idea, but a spiritual law, one that reveals how thought, when sustained over time, crystallizes into character, behavior, and ultimately destiny. From a spiritual perspective, thoughts are not random or insignificant. They are subtle energies, vibrations that arise from consciousness itself. What we repeatedly think becomes the lens through which we perceive reality, the emotional tone of our lives, and the blueprint from which our actions flow. In this sense, our present condition emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually is a reflection of the thoughts we have consistently entertained in the past. In spirituality, thought is understood as a creative force. Before any action is taken, before any word is spoken, there is first a thought. Creation begins in the unseen. Just as the universe itself is said to arise from divine intelligence or cosmic mind, the individual life unfolds from the quality of one's thinking. Sacred traditions teach that consciousness precedes form. This means that our inner dialogue silently shapes our experience long before it becomes visible. Thoughts charged with fear, lack, resentment, or separation tend to manifest lives marked by struggle and inner conflict. Conversely, thoughts rooted in faith, gratitude, love, and trust tend to produce peace, resilience, and clarity. Spiritually speaking, we do not become what we wish for. We become what we consistently think and believe. Most people are unaware that much of their thinking is conditioned. From childhood, society, culture, family, and personal experiences program the mind with beliefs about worth, success, love, and limitation. Over time, these beliefs operate unconsciously, shaping choices and reactions without deliberate intention. From a spiritual lens, awakening begins when one realizes, I am not my thoughts, I am the awareness observing them. This realization creates inner space. It allows a person to question inherited beliefs and consciously choose thoughts aligned with truth rather than fear. When we see that all that we are has been shaped by thought, we also discover something empowering. We can reshape ourselves by changing the quality of our thinking. Spiritual growth is not about escaping life, but about purifying perception. Spiritually, the ego is built from accumulated thoughts, stories about who we are, what we lack, and how the world treats us. Over time, these thoughts harden into identity. We begin to say, this is just who I am, without realizing that who we are is largely a mental construct reinforced by repetition. The quote reminds us that identity is not fixed. If our sense of self was created through thought, it can also be transformed through awareness. When negative or limiting thoughts dissolve, the false self loosens its grip, allowing a deeper, more authentic being to emerge, one rooted in presence rather than past conditioning. This is why spiritual traditions emphasize mindfulness, meditation, and self-inquiry. These practices help us witness thoughts instead of unconsciously becoming them. Although our current state reflects past thinking, transformation happens now. In spirituality, the present moment is the only place where thought can be observed and redirected. Each moment of awareness interrupts old patterns and plants new seeds. When a person chooses compassion over judgment, faith over fear, or gratitude over complaint, even once they begin to alter the inner climate of their being. Over time, these new thoughts accumulate, shaping a new way of being. Thus, the quote is not fatalistic. It does not say we are trapped by our past thinking. It says we are formed by it, and therefore capable of reshaping ourselves through conscious thought, aligned with higher awareness. Thought aligned with higher consciousness. Spiritual maturity is not about forcing positive thoughts, but about aligning thinking with truth. When thoughts arise from ego, separation, or fear, they create suffering. When thoughts arise from awareness, love, and unity, they create harmony. As one grows spiritually, thinking becomes less reactive and more intentional. Silence increases. The mind becomes a servant rather than a master. In this stillness, thoughts lose their power to define identity, and a deeper presence begins to lead. Eventually, one realizes that beyond all thought lies pure being. Thoughts may shape personality, but consciousness itself remains untouched. From this realization, thoughts become tools rather than prisons. All that we are is the result of what we have thought, is both a mirror and an invitation. It reflects back the truth that our inner world has shaped our outer life, and it invites us to take responsibility for the direction of our consciousness. Spiritually, this quote teaches that transformation does not begin with changing circumstances, but with changing awareness. As thoughts become more conscious, compassionate, and aligned with truth, the self naturally evolves. Life begins to reflect inner clarity rather than inner conflict. In recognizing the power of thought, we step into spiritual authorship of our lives, not as controllers of outcomes, but as conscious participants in the unfolding of being.